So this is a tiny project that I've been working on just within spare time and between work. It's a 3D underwater adventure game which eventually a focus on environment puzzles and with an ability-based progression system. The fun part is it's all underwater. And so this is and I've been working pretty diligently on his movement system, as well as how to comfortably control a character within a 3D plane. A lot of inspiration coming from Star Fox, Abzu, and a whole bunch along that line. Let's see here. Latest thing has basically just been trying to get this camera to work to where we can use it, look around, swim freely, leap out of the water, jump back in, and basically trying to get the physics systems working in a decent way. As well as the beginnings of his attack system. So just working on all the animations for his entire movement system right now. Everything is hand modeled, hand animated, and basically put into the Unreal Engine with the help of a friend of mine who's tackling a lot of the programming end. I'm on the art side of things here, just trying to keep things up and making it as pretty as can be while testing everything and keeping it going. Let me get my notes. At the moment, currently, right now, it is
My
just
goodness,
a bit
that's a nifty looking workrobe here.
I'm sorry?
That looks like a nifty Merfolk character design.
Yes, he is. Let me see if I can get a little bit of a closer
It's the
closer design here.
merman.
Here you go. Oh.
Yeah, that's a nifty looking merman.
Thank you very much. I basically trying the hard. I decided to get into game design going hard mode in order to basically make a tolerable, playable, and fun underwater adventure game, because we all know how well that one dungeon from Legend of Zelda went way back in the day.
The water temple.
Pretty much. Everything is
like it reminds
Hey,
me
John.
of watching people play Kingdom Hearts with Under the Sea, Atlantica.
There was a lot of that, and one thing that I noticed between I liked it. That was actually a really good point. It's okay. The thing about Kingdom Hearts and that Atlantica game, way back, it's like hard to believe that was 20 years ago. You were extremely limited by your movement system in that game, because all you could do was even though the animation and the character model was Sora swimming around as you know, a merman, and you were only lowering and raising the floor plane just the same as if he would be walking. The thing that I wanted to do was get this fully three-dimensional freedom of swimming and be able to start designing puzzles and tasks and battles and adversaries and animations and basically the entire game around this system. And so one of the things that I wanted to bring into focus is basically his weapon that's sitting right there on his hip. This little thing here is basically a pry bar versus your standard sword. And as we develop the attack system and eventually a lock-on and prying system, a lot of the puzzle mechanic will be having him dive into a rock or a cliff face or a piece of metal and pull it off, pry it apart, and start digging around inside the environment, inside the puzzle, and or inside the adversary or boss or enemy, in order to even have the battle systems be kind of a puzzle in their own right. Other than that, I could actually take this. It's kind of just a simple swimming simulator right here at the moment. It's all in its infancy, and I would love to get some of your feedback and questions if you have any. And by the way, right now everything is full screen on my computer right now, so I'm not able to read the Twitch chat.
I'll facilitate here.
Thank you.
We have from Gwen. The movement looks super smooth. I love the flip animation.
Thank you. That was actually one of the first things to tackle is when you're building when you're building like this kind of a 3D environment. The forward motion is on right trigger, and so when he flips upside down, you immediately get lost in what direction you're heading. So having that kind of turn around and flip, and it sets the camera up, turned out to be really snappy and a lot of fun,
We have some
and solve the problem of what direction are you going.
we have some compliments here. I love the lighting hitting the floor. 10 out of 10 from Mason. Looks lovely from Spencer. And
Thanks, guys.
Mason asks, "How did you do the light pattern hitting the floor?"
There is actually a caustics tutorial that I found online for that. It was actually came out through Cinema 4D on how to start a basically having your light map going all the way down. And so take a fractal texture or I'm sorry, not fractal texture, but this type of a caustic texture, and it goes in. I'm sorry, I am away from my home computer. Otherwise, I could show you the shader development for that. But basically it's just casting the light rays actually down. So if I can wiggle my way close here, you can see that it's actually showcasing on the wall. And if this works, yeah. If you look carefully, you can see the same light rays hitting the teal parts of his outfit. So it actually is light rays casting down as its own image plane through the water. It's not actually part of the water plane itself. I hope that makes sense.
Mason says, "Nice." Let's see. Adrian says, "How big is the scope of the full game, you think?"
Currently, right now, I'm working for just basically try to get a slice of pie worked out. Your good old proof of concept, and then start expanding from there. I'd like to turn this into a full, at least single A or double A experience. That's going to take a lot of time, effort, and ability. So first and foremost is I'm working on movement system and actually having a nice, fun battle and this pry mechanic that I was talking about. As soon as that's done, puzzle design and basically putting together a dungeon, a tutorial character to help you like get used to how to move around this environment versus just a text prompt of where your controls are, and kind of start pushing that out towards the public and see what happens next. You guys are actually the first time I've showcased anything to folks outside of my little circle of friends and colleagues and triads.
That's great. Well, thanks for coming to show us. We got some more questions here.
Sure.
These environments are not final, correct?
No. These environments are big tests. Like this grid environment that I went into, I just slapped this together because it has extremely hard angles to correct for. When it comes to your camera system, it goes up, down, left, right. It breaks that 90 to 180 degree comfortable camera system that's default in Unreal. And I really wanted to try to find the bugs and hammer them out as early as possible. And then if I go through this nice little square tunnel here and then back up again, and you can see it kind of like starts losing its bit again. This is one of those challenging spots I was telling you about. But once you're out of it, this area, all these rocks and everything, they're just a quick model, a simple place to play with textures. But I needed a floor plane with a recognizable surface and rocks to go swim in cavernous around, so where people who are testing and playing this game could go, oh yeah, I'm swimming around in rocks. I understand where I'm going, versus an abstract space.
Mm.
So this is all just testing area.
So we have Joe saying, "I really love underwater games. Really looking forward to what you do with this game. Can you?" And then later on says, "Can you elaborate more on how not to get disoriented in 3D movement? That was a big challenge that I wasn't able to solve when I was working on an underwater game."
One of the first things is try like the balance that I'm having a big challenge with right now. I'm just going to go through a few of these easy flips. is that if you cross a certain threshold, the camera is going to take over and it is going to kind of recorrect you. Even though he's swimming around in all these different angles, it's still your basic X, Y, and Z axis. The axis of the world doesn't change at all. So as long as you can keep going and moving around in a direction, there are soft little automatic things. Like if I go swim around here for a little bit, the camera will eventually reattach and log on to behind you. So as we progress in the game, what I'd like to see is that if you're like down here with your face in the ground, the next system will put him in the right direction and then put the camera setting in the direction that you kind of should be going, whether it's through a tunnel or back up in an open plane. It should always reorient you to the direction you should be going. And adding in a few animation states of like as here with his hands on the ground versus his nose in the floor. So if you do this too long, what I want to have is it basically resets to like this situation here. It's easy to snap back and just get back to gameplay.
Nice. Spencer says, "Good idea to focus first on a nice feeling movement." And Gwen asks, "Was it hard designing a costume that looks good on a merman?"
That was actually like so. Can you repeat the first one first before I geek out into
the first one was good idea. Good idea and first focus. Good idea to first focus on a nice feeling movement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was kind of critical because if you can't pick up and play this, and it's different. You gotta right trigger to move forward and use left stick to move around. There is a chasing camera. It's very similar to like Spyro. So we have to get this comfortable and accessible across the board. But as far as the character stuff goes, I had a ton of fun with this. I really enjoyed trying to match between what has been done, what works, and what he could make with his big old flippy three-fingered hands. So it's all just leather and like kind of these nice brass buttons, and nothing's actually sewed together. So everything looks like someone of his race could have made it. And I really just enjoyed that. He's kind of a blend between what would be a dog and a seal versus a person and a dolphin.
We have a couple of questions here. Looks like Mason is saying, "Can you jump over the wall and escape the map?" I want to jump over the wall and escape the map so bad. And a non-joke
yes, you can,
question.
and it does that.
Nice.
And we are done.
A non-joke question: will the game let me do that but get to real areas? That would be really satisfying.
All kinds of like that's part of the puzzle design and everything that I'm really wanting to get into is where you can jump, where you can go. Like you can eventually have puzzles that move the water level. Potential for climbing mechanics is there, but it's not on the immediate priority list. It would be kind of cool, but how far can he go with just two hands and this huge tail with no way to? He doesn't have a leg to stand on to run the gag. But I also have like a couple of
beautiful.
Yeah, this is all in the ArtStation. It's JMCNFX.
Oh yeah,
and these are some
share
of
that in the chat so we can copy that around.
Will do. I need to get my devlog going. That is the next thing on my list as soon as I'm done with this trip. I've been working some seriously hard freelance, and I just needed to go and stop. And I'm just happy that I could still make this all work. But here's his weapon, the good old pry bar that I was talking about, to where he can just grab those two rings with both hands, slam them into a rock, and basically pry it up. That could be also the armor off of a gigantic eel monster, for example. Some of the concepts we go. A little bit of the original artwork, and having, like I said, everything being purpose built for this scavenger of a guy. He's got that knee pad, for lack of better words, to help facilitate the I'm stabbing something in, and using that strong tail of his to push against the rock and pry up whatever he's doing. I'm so looking forward to animating all of this because it's all just been in sketch and going. The original design for the character and where this was all going to go. So everything being, he's gonna hit his fluke uh, on rocks and everything. So that should have a little bit of a pad, but not so much to his butt fin.
So
And
we're coming up
yes,
on
I
time here.
thought.
I do have one more
Oh, okay,
question for
cool.
you.
Yeah.
So Cole asks, they said they stepped out for a second. What's the vision for the project, and do you plan on making it a full game?
The plan, of course, is to make it a full game. The current vision right now is to try to get that nice proof of concept rolling to where I have a working combat system, a working working movement system, this pry mechanic, and puzzles, a few physics puzzles and puzzles based around this pry mechanic, with an adversary or two to fight here. So it's just a nice little. I'm really focusing on the slice of pie versus the let's make a whole huge game of this, and then from there start seeing about turning this into more of a full-time endeavor.
Got it. Cool.
Because I if you go into the other part of the portfolio here, I also work for the San Jose Shore, so they take up a ton of my time.
I can only imagine.
But yeah, that's kind of what I got. That's Sam. And on a fun little note here before I go, one of the other characters that is in the works is Sam, his sister, which will be one of the good old story pushers as it goes. That's my presentation.
Thanks so much.